Welcome back to Friday Night Frenzy. It's our last show for the season. I'm Joe Zone.
Stop saying that. I want to come back next week.
Okay,
I'm Mark Ross.
You'll be here by yourself. This seat will be empty.
Thanks for joining us as we are wrapping up another high school sports season. This weekend, the final spring championship games are being contested.
And we had him with us for our first show way back in September, joining us now to talk about, well, we know how the year went. We don't want to move ahead and talk about, what's ahead with name, image, likeness. We know there's some issues with officials around the state. I'm talking about Glenn Lungarini, of course, Executive Director of CAS CIAC. Thanks for coming in tonight, Glenn.
Always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you, Joe and Mark.
There's been a lot of talk. College really took the forefront on this. College athletes, name, image, likeness, getting paid. It hits directly home for your organization in terms of being in charge of high school kids in your group. How big has it been, or how big do you think it's going to be, and how important will it be in the state of Connecticut?
This isn't something that's been widespread. In fact, we haven't had any interest here in Connecticut, nor to my knowledge has there been any high school kids around the country who have signed NLI deals. But this has been around for a while. We do have legislation in Connecticut on it. The NCAA has addressed it. So having some rules and regulations around it helps us have that conversation if kids become eligible and interested.
Yeah, Glenn, you mentioned to your knowledge. Going forward, how will you be able to figure out, how will you monitor? I mean, as you say, it's probably going to be rare, but you might have a 7-1 kid like Donovan Klingen come along again, and somebody like that might have draw the interest of a company, car dealership, or whatnot, Subways. How will you monitor?
This is where having a policy to go from is really important, because the NCAA really sets the standard for what amateurism rules are and when you violate those amateurism rules. So making sure that in Connecticut we give those clear guidelines that the school's name, image, likeness is protected, their activities are protected, CIACs are protected, and it gives kids the opportunity to explore those situations where they're not going to violate. Again, we encourage them, and I'm sure we will have conversations with anybody who's interested in that, as well as with the NCAA, to make sure they don't violate their amateur status.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple of the things kids can do and can't do. I think the big thing they can't do is they can't wear a school jersey. They can't be representing their school or be on school property at a game and taking advertising or doing advertising for outside interests. Is that true?
Absolutely. So again, we protected where the school's image, name, likeness, so the school name, the uniforms, those regular season contests, league contests, CIAC championships. Kids can't earn any money off of doing that. But if a kid has a social media following where they have a lot of followers and the kid is earning income as a social media influence, that's the question that all state associations are now forced to answer. Where is that separation between social media influencer, potential to earn money there, and earning money as an athlete?
You're talking about, as we talk about monitoring these, is there something that kids will have to sign? Will there be agreements that the CIAC will have to get from a kid? Or if a car dealer, and I'm not picking on dealers, but if a car dealer wants a kid to do a commercial, can they just do it? And then if you guys see it, then you'll want to talk to them and make sure it's okay? Or do they have to go through you?
I don't think anybody would make that choice without checking with CIAC and the NCAA. Again, the last thing that we'd want a kid to do is violate their amateur status, either with us or for their college prospects. And the kids who would have the opportunity to do this, I think, would be high-level college prospects. So anybody who's working with them will work with the state association and also with the NCAA to make sure that status is protected for the kid.
All right, I want to move on to a big topic around our state, Connecticut. Getting officials, referees, umpires for all sports. A lot of them are retiring and they're not being replaced. I saw a recent study done by the National Federation. Last year, after the year before, I think they lost 30 or 40,000 officials around the country. There was a little bit of an increase, a little bit of a bump. What about Connecticut? Do we have enough officials out there?
We're doing okay right now, but we'd love to have more. You know, there was a pretty successful effort looking at emergency responders and trying to recruit those emergency responders to become officials. We retained about 20% of those who signed up who are continuing to officiate. So it was a nice bump there, but we do need more officials, and the better that we can do in treating our officials and making them welcome as part of the game, the more we'll have those officials continue to stay with us.
Glenn, let's go into the next semester or the next season. I hope you enjoy your summer, but when fall comes, you're going to start with a new twist for high school football. You're going to have 6 division champions. Are you excited about that, and how have you prepared as a CIAC to make sure that that goes as smoothly as possible?
Yeah, Mark, we're excited about this, and largely because this is what the coaches wanted. This was a proposal from the Connecticut High School Coaches Association. So taking this proposal forward and instituting the 6 divisions and state championships is something that the coaches saw as good for kids. We're proud that we can support that, and we're really looking forward to having those division championships in the fall.
All right, Glenn, I think that's basically it. I know every time you add something and have more champions to everybody else, some people say, well, that diminishes, having any at all. But I always say the more state champs you have, 20 years from now, nobody's going to say, well, we were one of 6 state champs. They're just going to say we were state champs, right?
I might differ with you, but I think we're running out of time. I wish we had more time to talk about it. But yeah, I think you can have. I could say too many cooks spoil the broth, but Glenn, you never spoil the broth when you come and talk with us.
I appreciate it, guys, and it's never a bad thing to recognize kids, and it's great to see those smiles out there.
That's what we're all about. Thanks a lot, Glenn, for coming in. We'll see you maybe on the golf course over the summer.
Sounds good, guys.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks to Glenn Lungarini for coming in, and we appreciate all he's done and coming in, and it's been a great season.
Yep. Next week, the Travelers, and then the FBI won't be able to find it.